Hello, everyone. My name is Boushra Barakat. I'm the Managing Director of the Clean Energy Business Council. I'm sorry I was not able to join you live, but I'm happy to still be joining on the 9th Annual Earth Day to deliver this presentation. My presentation today is entitled Collaborating for a Clean Energy Future, exploring opportunities for energy transition between Canada and the MENA region. So in this presentation, I will give a brief introduction about the CEBC, and then we're going to discuss the energy transition, climate change, and decarbonization, the Hello, everyone. My name is Boushra Barakat. I'm the Managing Director of the Clean Energy Business Council. I'm sorry I was not able to join you live, but I'm happy to still be joining on the 9th Annual Earth Day to deliver this presentation. My presentation today is entitled Collaborating for a Clean Energy Future, exploring opportunities for energy transition between Canada and the MENA region. So in this presentation, I will give a brief introduction about the CEBC, and then we're going to discuss the energy transition, climate change, and decarbonization, the MENA's clean energy transition in particular, and then areas of collaboration between MENA and Canada. So the Clean Energy Business Council, we are a regional, non-profit, and non-governmental organization promotion of clean energy and clean technologies in the MENA region. We work on behalf of our members from private industry organizations in order to promote the investment and adoption of renewable and clean energy technologies, as well as foster partnerships for this purpose. We try to serve as a bridge between the private and public entities and establish a dialogue between these two stakeholders. We represent the engagement in the clean energy industry across the MENA region, and we help in the development of enabling regulations and policies in order to support the development of the industry. We also undertake research and develop and present policy solutions. So the CEBC works across 5 different working groups. We have the Climate Finance Working Group, Hydrogen and Energy Storage, Women in Clean Energy, Energy Efficiency, and Future Mobility. So moving to discuss the energy transition, which is shaping our world today. There are basically 2 main drivers for this transition. The first one being the energy crisis, which started post-COVID recovery and was exacerbated by the geopolitical tensions and conflicts following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So as we can see in this graph, there has been a lot of volatility and increased energy prices, which was mostly felt by Europe. And as a result, energy security concerns started to rise, and we started to witness motivation for new energy policies as well as new trade patterns. The second cause behind the energy transition is the increased realization of climate change as an imminent and serious threat. So we have seen regions and countries now shifting towards investing in renewables and in environmentally friendly energy sources. So as a result, we are seeing now the emergence of a new global energy map with reorientation of the international energy trade, more focus on sustainable development, energy conservation, and demand-side management, as well as increased focus on decarbonization and net zero emission targets. And over the years, we can see that there was an increased investments in renewables, with solar photovoltaic technologies being the fastest growing technologies and accounting for almost 60% of the renewables share. As a result, we have also witnessed a decrease in the prices of these technologies, which are now more affordable and more accessible, and which we are hoping to see with other newer energy sources such as hydrogen. So apart from renewables and moving to energy efficiency, which is considered the first fuel in clean energy technologies, we have also seen increased investments in energy efficiency technologies, and energy efficiency actually grew at twice the rate of the previous 5 years. So there was an increased investment in technologies such as space cooling, refrigeration, lighting, wet appliances, and so on. So governments have revisited their energy efficiency targets recently in order to lower the reliance on the high-priced fossil fuels, protect the consumers from high energy bills, as well as reduce energy dependency. So energy performance standards and labels now apply to over 100 types of appliances and equipment in the commercial, industrial, as well as residential sectors. And almost all countries have put in place mandatory minimum energy performance standards, which cover more than 80% of the global energy consumption of major appliances for space cooling, refrigeration, and heating, and lighting. So moving to the second driver of the energy transition, which is climate change. So as we can see, over the past 100 years, the global CO2 emissions from energy combustion and industrial processes have skyrocketed, and the world is witnessing rising global temperature as a result of climate change, as well as extreme weather events. As a result, the public awareness and the demand for climate action is growing. One of the major commitments for climate action is the Paris Agreement in 2015. Following that, we have seen a lot of policies and regulations promoting more clean energy technologies, and as well as emission reductions. And currently we're seeing a lot of setting of net zero targets by countries as well as by companies. So despite these efforts and despite all of the increased awareness, in 2022, the energy-related CO2 emissions still grew by around 1% and reached a new high of 36.8 gigatons. Which tells us that there is still a major need for upscaling decarbonization efforts. So getting on track for net zero by 2050 will really require the rapid scaling of investments in clean transition over the next 10 to 30 years. And this includes the replacement of power generation that is relying on fossil fuels to clean power, as well as the electrification of transport and industrial processes, and the usage of hydrogen and carbon capture and storage for the hard-to-abate sectors. Nonetheless, while working towards the energy transition, we need to pay attention to balance the energy triangle, which is when we are trying to enable energy security and access, we still need to pay attention to environmental sustainability and economic development. And as we can see in this figure, which is by the World Economic Forum, which shows the big picture, behind the energy transition, and which shows the underlying factors that are related to the energy transition. We can see that when we're talking about the energy transition, we need to take into consideration navigating the energy supply and demand, building energy system resilience, remapping of energy geopolitics, and unlocking energy finance. And each of these subfactors also have various underlying dependent subfactors. So what this tells us is that the energy transition is really a complex process, and for achieving a net zero emission future, this calls for significant collaboration among countries as well as concerted efforts from both the public and private sectors. So going back to the MENA region, and from the MENA viewpoint, the energy transition is really a critical priority for the region. If we look at this graph, we can see that the 2100 warming projections by the Climate Action Tracker, and in the most optimistic scenario, given that all of the net zero targets are achieved, the global average rise in temperature will be 1.8 degrees. Given that we only follow the 2030 targets, this rise will be 2.4 degrees, and given that we continue with our current policies and actions, the global average rise in temperature will be between 2.5 to 3 degrees. Nonetheless, these figures do not reflect at all the situation in the Middle East in 2100. In the Middle East and North Africa region, and only over the past 3 decades, the temperatures have risen already by 1.5 degrees, which is twice the global increase. And by 2050, the average summertime temperatures could increase 30 degrees in half of the region's countries. So the region is actually under a high risk of desertification, water stress, and rising sea levels, which will hugely impact its GDP and will cause climate migration. So this shows that the energy transition is a key priority, but the good news is that the MENA region has also an immense clean energy potential. And by 2050, the MENA may generate around 26% of its primary energy supply from renewable resources. So as we can see, countries are investing in clean energy capacity with numerous renewable energy projects underway to help achieve these ambitious targets. Now, the GCC region is actively pursuing energy transition efforts with a focus on renewable energy projects such as wind and solar. And these initiatives are really crucial for reducing the region's dependence on fossil fuels and transitioning to a more sustainable energy future. The GCC possesses some advantages that allow it to produce high capacity of renewable energy at competitive prices, such as the abundance of solar and wind resources, the land availability, and the fact that these countries are developed countries with high sovereign ratings, which allows them to access financing. In this figure, we see the largest state-owned investors in renewable energy. So not just private investments, but also the MENA region has the second, and in particular the Gulf state-owned funds were the second biggest in the world, making up 29% of the total investments, state-owned investments in renewable energy, with UAE's Mubadala taking a big share of it. So moving into hydrogen, the MENA region is expected to become a major global exporter. And the potential of hydrogen in contributing to the energy transition is growing. And thus, as the renewable energy costs are declining, the region's interest in producing green hydrogen is rising. Moreover, in terms of GCC countries, hydrogen production would allow them to de-risk their fossil fuel assets. And therefore, as we can see in this figure, the MENA region is already witnessing significant investments in hydrogen projects, the most notable of which being the NEOM project in Saudi Arabia, which has already reached financial closure and which is a really big milestone for the region. By 2050, green hydrogen is expected to be produced at a competitive price, with new alliances forming to develop the green hydrogen project and with global hydrogen export and import hubs emerging. Nonetheless, the global hydrogen market is still in its infancy, and therefore we need to build the foundations for a sustainable market. There is also a need to develop strategies and roadmaps on hydrogen's role in energy systems, as well as form alliances to develop the industry and market. And some key components which should be taken into consideration for the development of the hydrogen industry are securing offtake agreements, enhancing technology, developing infrastructure, building experience in integrating different project components in the hydrogen production projects, securing cost competitiveness and maintaining it, and setting trading criteria. So as we approach COP28, major new commitments are expected to materialize, and these commitments will be focusing on climate risk mitigation, adaptation, and developing and implementing climate change strategies. And this includes massive investments in renewables and climate tech, more engagement by the private sector, investing in climate resilient infrastructure, de-risking fossil fuel assets, and building financial and institutional resilience to climate risk. So together, these efforts will help the MENA region navigate the energy transition and build a more sustainable future. Now, moving to the collaboration opportunities between Canada and the MENA region. These two regions share a common vision for a clean energy future, and therefore there are several collaboration opportunities between the two regions. We foresee great potential for joint research and development, demonstration projects, sharing of clean energy expertise, pilot projects, technology transfer, and in particular related to hydrogen production and fuel cell development, since both Canada and the MENA region are heavily investing in hydrogen as a clean energy source. Moreover, carbon capture, storage, and utilization is also a key area of collaboration, since also both regions and especially the Gulf countries are fossil fuel producing countries, so CCUS will play a major role in that. Areas of collaboration also include energy efficiency, hydrogen, hydropower, as well as other clean technologies. So we can see that there are numerous areas of collaboration between Canada and the MENA region under the energy transition. Cooperation on renewables, clean energy technologies, energy efficiency, hydrogen, and carbon capture and storage will be greatly beneficial for both countries, as well as fostering knowledge exchange, capacity building, and technology transfer. In addition to encouraging joint initiatives and projects, as well as investments and financing opportunities in clean energy, which could be developed jointly by both regions, and finally maintaining and enhancing trade and economic ties for a greener future. So thank you all for your attention today. Please feel free to reach out to us for further information, and we will be very happy to explore any collaboration opportunities or partnership opportunities on our shared mission. Thank you so much for your time.